What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I got another tier list for you guys. We are going to be looking at the worst lifestyle traps that you might come across in your 20s. Anything from party culture all the way to social media comparison. I'm going to be ranking them from you're done to not that bad. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and if you enjoy tier lists, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription down below. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. All right, first on the list here is party culture. Now, typically when I rank party culture or clubbing or anything like that, I rank it pretty poorly, and then instantly I get a flood of comments of people saying, bro's the fun police, bro doesn't want anyone having fun. Look, I'm not your dad. If you want to go party and you want to go to clubs, it's your life. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, as someone who's 26, right, and I've been to my fair share of clubs, I've been to my fair share of parties, you're playing with fire, right? I'm just going to rank this straight up. You're playing with fire. You're going to come across a lot of bad influences. You're going to come across a lot of addictions, whether it's drugs or alcohol. You're going to come across a lot of grimy people, and it can turn into a lot of poor financial decisions. So look, if you're out there and this is how you get your fun and you do it responsibly, hey, congratulations, good for you. I can just tell you, for someone who's partied and gone to clubs, I just never have good experiences, and the people you meet aren't people I really want around in my life, if I'm being honest. So all I want you guys to know is, if you get into party culture and this is a trap that you come across, you are 100% playing with fire. Be safe about it, do it responsibly, and just be very careful of the people who you allow into your group and who are around you, because it can go downhill pretty fast. That's all I'm saying. Next up is doom scrolling, and this is one of the biggest traps that people nowadays are falling into, whether you're in your 20s, your teens, your 30s or 40s. Even older people are falling into this trap. And you open TikTok, you open Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, whatever it might be, for 5 minutes, and then reality hits you. 2 hours has gone by and you're like, where did the time go? You've just been sitting there doom scrolling the whole time, watching videos. And the problem is with doom scrolling is it's not really about the time you're losing, it's what you could have been doing during that time of doom scrolling. You could be going to the gym, reading, seeing some friends, working towards a goal. Honestly, you could just also relax. A lot of people forget that you can relax without being on your phone and doom scrolling. I feel like that's a lost art nowadays. And your brain gets so used to 15-second videos and constant stimulation that sitting down to read a book or to study for school or work on a business or even just focus normally on a singular task, it starts to feel pretty impossible to even do that normally. So if you're doom scrolling for 2 hours a day, right, that's over 700 hours every single year. Imagine where your life would be if you took those 2 hours a day and you put it towards building a skill or your career or your health or your finances, right? So I'm not saying to never use social media, right? I use YouTube every single day. Just don't let it become kind of the default way that you spend your time. So in that situation, I'm going to put doom scrolling probably in the GG's category. Next up on the list is staying in the wrong career due to sunk cost. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I'll explain, because this is a huge trap I see a lot of people fall into in their 20s. Some people are going to wake up one day and they're going to realize, you know what? I hate my job. I don't enjoy what I'm doing at all. Maybe they chose the wrong degree. Maybe they accepted, the wrong job position. Maybe they just changed as a person and they don't like that career anymore. But instead of making a change to their career, they tell themselves, I've already put 5 years into this. I've already put 3 years into this. So there's no way I can quit now. And that right there is that sunk cost trap. People will stay because they've already invested so much time, so much money, so much effort into a career they don't really even like. And the problem is, staying in that career for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years is not going to make it the right decision. It's probably going to make it worse. Now, obviously, don't go quit your job tomorrow with no plan because some guy on YouTube's talking about it. You need to be smart about it. But at the same time, don't convince yourself that you have to spend the next 40 years doing something, you hate just because you've already spent the past 4 to 5 years doing it, or, maybe you invested your early 20s into learning about it or trying to get this career. Your 20s are the easiest time to pivot careers. It's a lot easier to change careers at 26 than it is at 46 with a mortgage and kids kids, and a dozen other responsibilities. So if you're staying in the wrong career due to sunk costs and you're letting it, eat away at your happiness and just overall, your career path, this is easily GG's. Do not let this happen. If you're in a career you don't like, I would say ASAP, try to make a pivot out of it. Next up on the list here is lifestyle inflation. And this is one of the fastest ways to stay broke, whether you're making $50K a year or you're making $2 million a year, whatever it might be. Basically, with lifestyle inflation, if you're not aware of it, every single time you make more money, you're going to upgrade your lifestyle, whether it's your car, whether it's your house or your apartment, your furniture, your dinners out, your clothing, whatever it might be. And it's just never enough for you. So basically what happens is every single time you make more money, you start spending more money. And guess what? When you make more money and you spend more money, you can't invest more money. You can't save more money. All that money goes out the window. So it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If your lifestyle is consistently inflating, you're never going to have anything to show for it other than some materialistic items that really don't mean anything at the end of the day. And what happens is a lot of people will stop asking themselves, can I afford this? And they'll ask themselves, can I afford this monthly payment? We see this a lot in the world of buy now, pay later and financing, because lifestyle inflation typically goes hand in hand with debt. And what happens is you get to this point where instead of looking at, a $50,000 car as a $50,000 car, you look at it as a $600 car payment over the next 96 months. And then you trick yourself into believing, oh, you know what? I can afford that, no problem. So instead of, using raises and more money to build wealth by saving or investing or paying off debt, you're going to be using it to, pay for bigger bills, more expensive items, and just try to keep up with the Joneses, right? So if you fall for the trap of lifestyle inflation, like I said, it goes hand in hand with debt. This is easily, you're done. You can't fall for this if you want to be financially responsible whatsoever, because this will destroy your finances. Next up is the lone wolf mentality. And this is one I see a lot of younger men, especially nowadays, falling into. Younger ladies might fall into this as well, but typically I see a lot of guys think they have to do everything on their own, whether it's, a pride thing or an ego thing or whatever it might be. They just never ask for help. They never network. They never find a mentor. They never lean on other people. And look, the reality is almost no one becomes successful completely by themselves. Every successful person, or at least the majority of them, have learned from other people, whether it's a mentor or a manager or a friend or a business partner, just whatever it might be. I read this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Highly recommend this book if you ever, want a book to read. And the 6th habit is about synergizing, where it basically talks about how, through creative cooperation and just teamwork, you can come up with ideas and opportunities that you would have never conceived by yourself by including other people around you from different backgrounds and just leaning on other people to learn from. The people around you can boost you up and help you become a lot more successful than hard work by yourself would have ever done for you. And there's nothing wrong with being independent at all. I would say I'm more independent than a lot of people around me, but I'm still willing to learn from other people and have an open mind and talk to people if I have questions, right? So don't let your ego convince you that you have to have everything figured out by yourself. It's okay to trust people a little bit and learn from other people. So I would say this type of mentality right here is definitely playing with fire. Next up on the list is addiction. And you guys probably already know where this is going. This is one of the, if not the most destructive trap that you can fall into in your 20s, whether it's drugs or alcohol or gambling or corn or social media, literally anything. Addiction always has this way of just slowly taking control of everything in your life without you realizing it. And at first, these things don't seem like a big deal, right? Maybe it's just a little bit of weed here and there, or maybe it's, a few sports bets here or there, or it's just a sip of alcohol at the club, whatever it might be. Then it starts costing you your time and your money and your health, and then your relationships, and then your focus, and then eventually it costs you your future. And the thing with addiction is it doesn't stop your progress. It doesn't stop you in your tracks. It sets you backwards. It's going to take you way backwards, whether it's 10, 20, 30 steps, right? It's going to send you backwards. Look, your 20s are the most important years for building a good foundation of your life. It's easy in your 20s, it gets harder in your 30s, it gets harder in your 40s, and then by your 50s, you don't want to worry about it anymore. So try as hard as possible to not let addiction steal that from you. And I'm not saying it's easy, but you just need to actively try to avoid addiction as best as you can. So addiction, it's in the you're done category. Look, obviously you can come back from addiction, right? I don't want you guys thinking this is like a doomer video. If you are addicted to something, reach out to help, try to find people around you to help you, do what you can to try to get out of it. You are never, quote unquote, you're done, right? There's always a way out of it. So I don't want you guys thinking that if you have an addiction, there's no way of getting your life on the right track, because there's absolutely plenty of ways to gain your life back from addiction. Next up on the list is letting your job fulfill you. And what I mean by this is your job should feel fulfilling, but your job should not fulfill you, if that makes sense. Because look, you should enjoy what you do. You should be proud of the work you're doing, and you should find meaning in it, right? That's how you're going to be able to make it a career. But it should not be the thing that gives your life meaning. And I feel like a lot of the time when you get these these people who really want to be successful in their careers, they almost think that it's like, my job needs to be my identity. My job needs to fulfill me. And that should not be the case, right? I've seen people make their career their identity, and then they get laid off, and it's like their entire life just falls apart. Your job is what you do. Your job is not who you are. You need things outside of work that matter, whether it's relationships or hobbies or health or family or just different goals, personal goals outside of your career, things that will still exist whether you have a job or not, because companies can restructure. People can get laid off. You can lose your career, right? And if your entire sense of purpose is tied to your job, you're giving something outside of your control way too much power over your actual long-term happiness. So by all means, find fulfillment in the work you do. Just don't expect work to fulfill your entire life. And if you do this, if you let your job fulfill you, this is absolutely playing with fire, right? Once again, I think you should have a great job. You should be happy with it, but do not let this be the thing that fulfills your life. Next up is a bad friend group. And this is one we see a lot of people fall into, right? A bad friend group can lead to a lot of negative things on this tier list, because if all your friends are blowing every paycheck, or they're constantly buying new cars, or partying every weekend, complaining about everything, or just have no ambition or direction to you in your life, it's going to start to feel very normal. And typically, a lot of people with bad friend groups don't realize that they're being influenced, because it happens very gradually, right? It happens over months and years of having exposure to a bad friend group, where the opposite is very true too, right? If you're surrounded by people who take care of their health and their finances and work towards goals, you're far more likely to do the same. You're bound to lift each other up. And as easy as you can lift each other up, you guys can tear each other down, right? And I'm not saying, you need to cut off your friends if they go over budget, or if they, go out and party one weekend, right? It's not what I'm saying at all. But, I am saying you need to be very mindful about who influences you, specifically in your 20s, right? Your friends are going to influence how you spend time, how you spend your money, what you think is normal. It's just an organic part of having a friend group. But if you notice things going down the wrong path, just audit it, right? Just be very mindful about what's happening in your friend group, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, friends should want to lift each other up. All the friends I have, I want nothing, of the best for them, and I would hope that they want nothing but the best for me. So just be careful with this, because this can easily be a GG's if you have a bad friend group and you let it influence your life a little bit too much for the worse. Next up is gaming, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be a little bit biased towards gaming, just because I don't think gaming is bad. I play games every single night. I think it's a great way to relax. I use it as a way to hang out with my buddies who live in Florida and Colorado, since I'm in Arizona now. And it's just a nice way to unwind after a long day, kind of decompress. Now, the trap, obviously, is where gaming goes from being a hobby to becoming your entire lifestyle, especially if you're not making money while gaming, right? And I've seen people who just spend thousands of hours just playing video games, and they have no interest of getting a job or having goals or making more money or anything like that, right? And there's nothing wrong with gaming if you've handled your responsibilities, in my opinion. This I'm going to put in the risky category, but overall, I don't think it's too bad. But once again, I'm being honest with you guys. I'm just being biased with this one because I do like gaming. Next up on the list here is instant gratification. And maybe this is a hot take here, but I believe instant gratification is the #1 reason people never reach their full potential, because we live in a world right now where everything is instant, whether it's food food getting delivered, or made for you in less than 10 minutes. Typically with entertainment, it's like one click away on your phone. And honestly, you can buy anything in the world and probably have it at your door either same day or next day on your phone. So it's no surprise that people start expecting life to work the same way, right? They want everything instantly, whether it's building wealth or getting in shape, growing their career, building a business. The problem is none of these things will ever happen overnight. When you're building wealth, it's going to take years. When you're getting in shape, it's going to take years. But a lot of people will quit way too early because the rewards aren't immediate. And we get trained to get, kind of ride the high of that dopamine where everything's instant. So things that take a long time to happen, we never want to let them actually play out. So people who get ahead usually are the ones who are able to delay gratification for as long as possible. They're willing to sacrifice, materialistic things today because they know in their future it's going to pay off, or they're willing to sacrifice that unhealthy, good tasting meal for a healthy meal because they know it's going to pay off for their health in the future. So that ability to delay gratification is becoming rare and rare, but it's something we have to practice. This is one that I would put probably in the GG's category. Next up is living in the wrong city. And I think this is one that a lot of people don't think too much about, but where you live has a huge impact on the opportunities you have because it will affect, the jobs around you and kind of the people you meet, and a lot of other things, your cost of living, your networking, maybe even like the hobbies and kind of lifestyle that you end up having. And I've seen people who kind of stay in, their same small town their entire life simply because, it's comfortable, it's where their family's at. And I, completely respect that, even though there's very few opportunities there for the life they actually want. And I'm not saying, you need to move to like a big city. Like me personally, I'm not a city guy, right? I rarely ever go into like downtown Phoenix. But if your city is holding you back specifically in like your career and it makes it impossible for you to afford the life you want or just surround yourself, with the people who you actually want around you, it might be worth asking if you're in the right place. Maybe it's time to go out and explore. I came to Phoenix from Florida and I thought I would never leave Florida. But being in Phoenix for this past kind of 6 months has opened my eyes to a lot of new things I hated about Florida, things I hate about Phoenix, things I love about Florida that I miss, and things I love about Phoenix that, I'm definitely going to miss when I move out of here. So it can just change your perspective a lot too, which is very valuable in today's day and age. So if you're in the wrong city, specifically struggling with, cost of living or a career, this can definitely be playing with fire. Next up is the wrong relationship. And this goes for both men and women, right? We've seen this, I don't need to beat this up too much because we've seen what the wrong relationship can do to people. It can absolutely destroy people. On the flip side, we've seen what good relationships can do to people. It can make them a better version of themselves by 2 to 3 times, right? And the person you choose to spend your life with will more than likely influence almost every single little thing about your life. It's going to influence your happiness, your finances, where you live, whether you have kids or not. Even just the goals you pursue are going to have to flow probably through your partner, right? And the wrong relationship is going to drain everything out of your life, whereas the right relationship, it's going to push you to grow and become a better person. And just too many people stay in relationships simply because they're comfortable. It's kind of like the wrong city, right? They stay because they're comfortable or because they're afraid of change or being alone. But being in the wrong relationship, honestly, is a lot more lonelier than being single. So just choose your partner carefully. It's one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your 20s. And if you make this the wrong decision, you're done. you're done for, right? Obviously, like addiction, you can come back from this, but just be very, very careful. Next up is watching too much self-improvement content or consuming it too much. And this is actually a trap that I fell into. I got to this point where I was buying self-help books every single week and I would read them. I got to the point where I had like 20 self-help books. I would watch all these YouTube videos on, self-improvement content and how to be a better person. And while I was consuming all of this content on self-improvement and reading books, I was never actually applying it to my life because I always thought there was something else I needed to learn. But spoiler alert, After the 10th self-improvement book and the 20th, YouTube video on self-improvement, it's all the same stuff. You just got to be a better person. That's what it comes down to. So this is an easy way to waste time. So I'm going to put this in the risky category. Next up is people pleasing. And this is an easy way to build a life that you don't actually like, because what happens when you're people pleasing, you're trying to make everyone else happy and you end up making decisions based on what they want rather than what you actually want. And you can stay in relationships, maybe because you don't want to hurt other people's feelings. You can stay in a job because maybe you don't want to disappoint your boss, right? Or you just spend money you don't have because you don't want to say no to your friends or what they're doing that night. And what happens is, before you know it, you're probably living a version of your life that you don't actually want. And I've seen this happen a lot, specifically on the job side of things in like a corporate environment. You'll see a lot of, younger people or entry-level people doing things for their bosses that they don't like, or going to events that they don't want to, or just overall just trying to be this kind of yes man people pleaser because they think it's going to have payoff for them. I'm here to tell you it doesn't work like that. Bosses and managers respect the people the most that stand up for themselves. So if you are trying to become a people pleaser, you're just going to make yourself extremely unhappy. So this is one by far that is just a GG's. Don't be a people pleaser. Have your own opinion. Stand up for yourself. Do things that you want to do. Next up is no direction. And once again, I don't probably need to beat this one up too much. You probably know what I'm going to say here, but basically, look, when you're in your 20s, it's easy to have no direction. And maybe some people don't want to have direction, right? Maybe some people want to just live life, flow through life, and cool, man, like good for you. But at some point, if you want to progress in your life and have a comfortable future, which I think should be the goal for most people, you are going to need some form of direction in your life. And what happens is, people, when they hear no direction, they hear someone on YouTube saying you need direction, instantly they start thinking like, great, like this person's going to tell me I need to have a map, playbook for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of my life. It's not what I'm saying at all. Even if you just have direction as, hey, I want to be debt-free in the next 2 years. Hey, there's some direction, right? That's going to give you some kind of organic goals to maybe making some more money or being smarter with your finances. Maybe your direction is, in the next 5 years, I want a new career. Hey, there you go. That's some direction. I would say having no direction is definitely playing with fire. Next up is always looking for the next thing. You're probably like, is that a picture of chicken, like raw chicken? Yes, it is a picture of raw chicken. The reason why is because that chicken is marinating. And guess what? If you want things to actually be successful or play out or work for you, you need to let things marinate. And this is medicine for myself. This was my biggest struggle throughout my early 20s is I would think of, all right, I'm going to start this business. And I would map out the marketing plan for it and I'd quit on it because I'm not making six figures. Or I would say, you know what, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And I would start a YouTube channel, I'd make one video, and then I would quit because I didn't have 10,000 subscribers after the one video. If you want things to actually work out, you need to let them marinate. You need to let things have time to actually play out and work in your favor. So always looking for the next thing. This is very, I would actually say this is playing with fire. Next up is never asking questions. And this is one I'm just really not a fan of. I don't know why people get this like idea. Maybe it's part of the lone wolf mentality where they feel like, they just can't ask questions or they shouldn't ask questions or they're scared of feeling stupid. Look, I'm going to be so honest with you guys. I promise you. I have a six-figure job and every single day I ask questions. And sometimes they are the dumbest questions in the world. I have no shame in asking questions because guess what? The more questions I ask, the more knowledge I gain. And if anyone ever has a problem with me asking questions, guess what? I don't care. I have no problem in the world looking stupid, sounding dumb, whatever it might be. Because guess what? If I have a question, I need an answer for it because I need to get better at my job, right? I have a very important job. So this is one that is very risky. Last up on the list here is social media comparison. And this is one of the easiest ways to just be unhappy in life. This is a big reason I'm actually not on social media other than YouTube because I know I will compare myself to other people and it's going to make me unhappy. Because every time we open social media, you're just comparing your life to someone else's, fantasy world, right? Because that's all social media is. I know this term gets used a lot and I kind of cringe when I say it, but social media is a highlight reel, right? You see people getting promoted, you see, huge vacations and new cars and the relationships they have and the businesses and just every big win you see on social media. But what you don't see the debt. You don't see the failures. You don't see the stress they're going through or the relationship problems or just the years it took people to maybe get there, right? And we see it all the time where we see people on social media who it's like they have the quote unquote perfect life, and then it comes out that they're depressed, or it comes out that they're in a terrible relationship, or it comes out that they're not with us anymore, if you know what I mean. So it's just one of those things where it's like, social media will trick you into thinking you're behind. And then you start questioning your own progress because someone who's younger than you looks like they're doing better. When in reality, you're comparing two different situations and maybe even a fake situation. Look, I could go to a exotic car rental tomorrow and rent a Lamborghini for $700 and make a YouTube video about why you should buy my course. And we see it all the time. That's what happens. And the reality is someone is always going to have more money than you. Someone's always going to have a nicer car than you. Someone's always going to have a bigger house than you. And guess what? Someone is always going to be more ahead than you are. But if you're always looking at everyone else, you're never going to appreciate your own life. I'm just putting this in the you're done category. So that rounds off my list here for the worst lifestyle traps that you will come across or fall into in your 20s. Once again, in the comments down below, let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you disagree with, what I got wrong, what I got right. Overall, if you like tier lists, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.